conflict. The United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, stressing the urgent need for humanitarian access to alleviate the suffering of civilians. Speaking at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit, Guterres highlighted the worsening humanitarian crisis and the necessity for hostages to be released unconditionally. He also reaffirmed the two-state solution as the only path to peace. Let's have a look at his statements.
There is an offensive in Gaza City that will have, again, the tremendous impact, making hundreds of thousands of people being forced to move once again, and with an unimaginable level of suffering. So we must stop this. So first, an immediate permanent ceasefire. On the other hand, it is totally unacceptable to have hostages, and those hostages have been treated in a very horrible way. So hostages must be also released immediately and unconditionally. And then there must be complete free access for humanitarian organizations to distribute basic humanitarian items to the population in Gaza that needs food, that needs water, that needs medicine, that needs sanitation, that is in an absolutely dramatic situation, and famine was the result of that. So obstacles must end, any problems that are put to humanitarian action must stop, and humanitarian access must be guaranteed everywhere. Not forgetting that as occupying power, Israel has the objective to guarantee that the population in Gaza has food, has health care, because this is part of international law. It's not only Gaza, it's also the situation in the West Bank, where we see now decision to build the extension of settlements that would divide the West Bank into two, separating north and south, which of course would be another tremendous setback in the way to a two-state solution that, in my opinion, remains the only possible solution for two peoples to live in peace.
We're once again joined by Xavier Abu Aid to discuss this further. Xavier, the UN has been a crucial vocal point of the people of Gaza, especially for the likes of UNRWA, who are vilified on quite a frequent basis by Israel and its spokespeople. What can you tell us briefly, because we don't have much time, and there's another point I want to tackle, about the capabilities of the UN in this conflict and its action during this nearly two-year war now?
Because I think the United Nations has more than one layer to work here. The political level is blocked, and it's blocked because the UN system allows for powers in the Security Council to have a veto over some decisions, and the US is fully on the Israeli side on this, so it's somehow paralyzed on its goal to have to ensure world peace and security. But when it comes to humanitarian work, the UN has had a very important role for the past 78 years here in Palestine, and this is precisely what Israel has been targeting now, even leading to the killing of hundreds of humanitarian workers in Gaza.
And another point, Xavier, of course, Antonio Guterres mentioned the two-state solution, which is at the forefront of a lot of governments' foreign policy when it comes to this conflict. He mentioned the new settlement plan that's being built. The plans have been announced for that region. You join us from Ramallah, Xavier. Is there still hope for an established Palestinian state where you are?
Let us say, Thomas, just for clarification for your viewers, that the two-state solution is an international position, international formula, and the international consensus. And the two-state solution means ending the Israeli occupation that began in 1967, allowing for a Palestinian state on 22% of historic Palestine, which is the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and Gaza. Israel opposes this solution, but they also oppose the other solution that some people talk about, which is one single democratic state with equal rights for everyone. So in other words, Israel is very clear about what they want, and they continue on the ground to implement those policies, which is apartheid. In other words, one state and two different systems. And even in the case of Gaza, what we have now is genocide. So eventually, even though Palestinian Christian and Muslims are more in number than Israeli Jews in all of historic Palestine or Israel-Palestine, what Israel is implementing is a situation whereby the Palestinian people will never exercise its inalienable right to self-determination.
Saviour Abu Eid, thank you very much for joining us on the programme. Pleasure to talk to you. We now move over to North America for our next story, where US President